So obviously, being sensitive has its downsides. And I think I want to start with that because I'm going to talk a lot about the positives. Obviously, it depends on your definition. And if you associate sensitivity with being easily offended and taking things the wrong way and that kind of rigidity and fragility, then yeah, sensitivity can be a negative thing. There have been times where I haven't had the self-awareness yet and haven't known how exactly to navigate it. And so there have been periods where I'm easily offended and I take things the wrong way because I'm just so sensitive. So there are downsides, but it's a matter of perspective because globally, I see sensitivity as this incredibly positive thing. One of my favorite traits in all the people that I care about the most. Certainly something I'm definitely trying to cultivate within me. And it's a bumpy journey because when you're sensitive, I'm filming this right here because of the direct sunlight behind me. And I just feel like there's an analogy there where it's like being sensitive is being directly in the sun and feeling it and feeling all its intensity and just feeling things deeply. And when you're in the sun like that, you get hot and you get fussy and it sometimes or oftentimes feels like too much. And all of the sensitive people I know either wonder or worry or wondered and worried at some point how they were going to be able to function with this sensitivity because it feels like this complicated thing you have to carry with you. And yeah, that's part of the package. Having to learn how to take care of yourself and navigate that is something that I at least have to spend a lot of time thinking about and paying attention to because the consequences are pretty serious when I ignore those things as a sensitive person. But the flip side of that, because it's all connected, the flip side of that is this beautiful kind of openness, this sort of receptivity to things that you can't have otherwise. That's what sensitivity is. And this is why all of my favorite people have this kind of sensitivity. They're more in touch with their emotions, more in touch with their heart. And as a natural consequence, and that's all it is, being connected with your heart. As a natural consequence, there's this kind of openness and receptivity. I think we're all born somewhere. If this is a spectrum of some kind, we're somewhere. We all start off at some level of sensitivity. But I do believe it's something that you can work on and develop, doing internal work, feeling into things. It's almost like a path through the jungle, if you will. The very first time you go, you're kind of, bushwhacking, right? And it's almost impossible to traverse thick jungle, right? There's no path. But as you go there more often and you work at it and you go inwards, basically, that thick jungle turns into, more and more of a clear trodden path that you can walk down, and then eventually a road, and then eventually a highway. I guess this analogy isn't amazing because it's sort of deforestation. That's not what I mean. I just mean to say that something that is originally very difficult to navigate becomes more and more of a easier path to walk, if you will. That kind of access increases. And for all of its downsides, you're too sensitive, being very reactive. I've talked about this a lot on this channel and in my work in general, but I'm sensitive to people's energies. I'm sensitive to group dynamics. I'm sensitive to noise. And I'm drawn to stimulus and I love to see the world and I love to travel and I love to see people, but I can also become overstimulated, So navigating that is something I think about a lot. Similar to the video that I did called You're Too Intense. Being called You're Too Sensitive, being told that can really be taken as an insult, can be really hard to take. And again, that kind of goes back to how I started this, which is that if you're excessively reactive and you're offended by what people say or you're taking things the wrong way, then that's a place where sensitivity can turn into something that isn't productive, right? And so I'm definitely also advocating for self-awareness. But sensitivity in general, being an emotional creature and being in touch with those emotions, to me, is not in any way a negative. It's a beautiful thing. And it's funny because all of my friends, I think this is one of the qualities that they most appreciate about me, and it's one of the qualities that I most appreciate about them. And yet when it comes to interfacing with this with yourself, navigating your own sensitivity, I've noticed a pattern both with myself and with other sensitive people I know, that it's a journey to learn to accept it, because it feels like a burden. It feels like, why am I so complicated? Why am I so fussy? Why am I so picky? Or why am I so reactive to stimulus and things? So, I just thought I'd put some words to these thoughts. I had a beautiful conversation with my parents and a friend yesterday, and it revolved a lot around sensitivity and how we're all navigating that. And for all of its, downsides and the new complications it may sort of introduce into your day-to-day life and the ways you have to sort of take care of yourself, there's nothing that can replace the beauty of being more connected to your heart and more receptive to everything that life offers. That's something that I seek to forever cultivate, to forever open myself up more, to be as receptive as possible to all of the things that happen in life, good and bad, right? Those are just labels. And very similar to this analogy, I just think this is a great analogy of being directly in the light. Like, yes, this can make you feel hot and fussy and I'm sweaty and whatever, but it's also when you just give yourself over to the light, isn't it also just so beautiful and such a great feeling? Sun on your skin, right? Who doesn't love that? And I guess kind of what I'm saying here is you can feel that more and more deeply and more intensely by cultivating that, by opening yourself up. One way of putting sort of my mission in life really is developing that within myself and then kind of sharing that with people. And my storytelling and my writing is kind of my vehicle for doing this, because I'm required to really be as open and receptive and sensitive to things as possible to tell the stories that I want to tell. And I want to keep pushing the boundaries, and I want to keep getting better at it. And so I'm sort of every single day challenged to become more attuned and practice that, almost like a muscle, or almost like getting better at attenuating a radio. I don't know if that analogy works, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, I just thought I'd share, because it definitely feels hard to be a sensitive person in the world that we live in, with the chaos and the noise and the craziness and the politics and the suffering. And I mean, there's so much stuff going on, but I just fundamentally believe that it is a more beautiful and a more courageous way to live life, to open yourself up and not close yourself off, even if the temptation is there. So just thought I'd share some thoughts on that. And then I wanted to share a couple of announcements as I close off this video. The first being, I alluded to writing. I'm writing a lot more on Substack, and I'm loving it. I want to write more. I can express thoughts and ideas in a way I kind of can't anywhere else. Even in video form, it's just very different. So if you're curious, you can sign up for free. I'll leave a link to it in the description. And then the last thing is that Frame by Frame, my filmmaking, storytelling, editing, writing, animation masterclass built with my brother and my team is no longer going to be for sale in 2 days. So today's the 13th. At midnight on the 15th, I will not be selling it anymore. There are nearly 600 students that have signed up. It's been an incredible experience of several years, like 40 plus hours of material, and I'm super proud of what we did. But I believe in bringing chapters to a close, so I have more time to focus on other things like writing and other endeavors that I'm really excited about. So if you're interested in checking it out, what we're doing right now is scholarships for people who maybe would have a hard time being able to afford it otherwise. And so I'll leave a link to the form, the application you can fill out in the description to get a scholarship. So you can get access to the course for a reduced price. But you have to fill that out before midnight on the 15th of January. So that deadline's coming up. Check it out if you're interested. Thank you to everybody who has signed up to Frame by Frame. Really appreciate that form of support, and it's also been so incredible to see all the different projects and the growth of so many different students. I mean, it became a global community of people who are interested in storytelling and filmmaking. Also, one more last point on that. Even though I will not be selling the course anymore beyond the 15th of January, everybody who has ever signed up or does sign up before the deadline retains forever access to all the material. So I think that's just a really important point. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.